like my kids don't know him as Xavier Woods. They know he's Xavier Woods, but they know him as Uncle Austin. I mean,
Right.
And he came through that wild side. I mean, it's nuts the number of people that came through that building.
So you went on, I read also that you went on a Ring of Honor as well. Obviously you held the tag titles there multiple times.
Yeah. Yes.
You worked with a young Claudio Castagnoli. What was that like? Because I've never heard a bad thing about him, and I've also heard that he is just the most fantastic teacher as well, because he is always a student of the game and always trying to learn more about, pro wrestling. And then obviously, he speaks multiple languages as well. So it's easy for him to talk to, foreign, wrestlers coming in. Like, what was it like wrestling him when he was, not just starting, but just, early on?
Yeah, so I will say that the first person to tell you a bad story about Claudio is a liar. Because Claudio's he's one of my favorite humans I've ever been able to interact with. And he's another one of those guys. It's crazy, when you fast forwarding to Ring of Honor, the friendships that I developed there that I still hold dear to this day, and he's one of them.
Right.
Claudio and I got along because before we even had our match, and I wish I could remember what it was, but I said some stupid dad joke, and he doubled over. And he was like, oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. And so that became our ongoing thing for months and months and months, where we were always trying to get each other to crack on the dumbest dad jokes. But then like you get in the ring with it, like I was very self-aware of myself at Ring of Honor, where it was like, look around the locker room and it's Samoa Joe and CM Punk and Austin Aries and Danielson and Jamie Noble, and Sal Rinauro. And I was like, oh, one of these things don't fit. They're going to catch on real soon, So like, I tried to take advantage of every opportunity I could there. So before the shows, a lot of us would get in the ring just to roll around and get loose. And I was like, oh, well, I can learn, I can call, just in case it hasn't radiated, I love pro wrestling, right? So like here I am with some of the best pro wrestlers in the world, just giving me knowledge for no reason other than they got nothing else to do, So I'm like, this is heaven. And I remember one day, Claudio, who's probably the strongest human that's ever lived.
I've heard that. Like, John Cena is the only guy that would really work out, where he would want working out with him because he can lift the same weight as he can.
It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Legitimately, one day he was like, hey, I used to call him the Ace of Base. A, because his accent, and B, because he's the greatest bass in the history of the world. I mean, you can just do whatever you want and he'll catch you.
Right.
And he, and he was trying to talk through something to somebody else, and he goes, Sal, can I borrow you real quick? I go, yeah, what's up? He goes, hey, I just need you to post off my shoulders, and I'm going to kind of toss you up and spin you. And I was like, well, where do I land? He goes, don't worry about it. Okay. Again, children at home, don't ever say okay to that. It's a horrible thing. But, so, I kind of, charge at him, and he throws me up in the air, but as he launches me, I'm now spinning like a helicopter. I don't know how.
Whoa.
I didn't jump that way. He just threw me and spun me. And as I'm spinning, he catches my legs, tosses me, and takes a head scissors, all in one motion.
Good Lord.
We hit, I hit, and I'm looking at him as he's cutting this flip, and I'm just like, what did I just do? Did I break the Matrix?
Right.
How does this happen? And he was like, oh, I've been trying to work on this. I was like, how? How does it work? You tossing cattle on the side when nobody's looking?
That wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no, I cannot, and then you fast forward, another one of those guys that I'm really, really tight with that I talk to probably, if not daily, weekly, is Seth Rollins. and
Oh.
him and Claudio were best friends.
Right.
So whenever whenever they were in town, like, hey, because my youngest son is huge. He's me, which scares me. God, it scares me so much. His old man, just a big wrestling fan, and and I have to constantly remind him. Not everybody has Seth Rollins' number,
Right.
But whenever they're close by, and I'm free, hey guys, can I get a couple tickets? And every time it was, oh, you got Jacob with you? Yeah, I got Jacob with me. Well, yeah, here's your tickets. Keep your phone on you. I'll call you to come in the back at some point. I'm just like, you guys don't have to do that. Like, I get it. Like, you're at work. Like, no, I know. And every time, Claudio was just so like, Jacob, so good to see you, my friend, which, like, I couldn't imagine how my brain would have functioned if, at 9 years old, I'm brought to the locker room and Hillbilly Jim just knows my name.
Right.
Like, that's not how life, and I have to constantly hammer into these guys. Like, this is not how life works. Please, no, this isn't what everybody does. Just shows up and hangs out with the wrestlers.
So I can't even imagine at that age going backstage and, like you said, Hillbilly Jim or, Ricky Steamboat or whoever, Jake the Snake's coming up and saying hi to you and, like you said, knows your dad, and somehow your dad's cooler than you ever imagined, because when you're a kid, you get up to a certain age, and your dad is your superhero, and then you realize he's human, and then he's not. But then you can go backstage, and like you said, like a Jake the Snake Roberts or a Ricky Steamboat's coming up and like, hey, what's going on? And you're like, what is happening right now? My head exploded.
Yeah. It's, and I'm very blessed because of that, where it's still to this, like that's the one thing. He's 12 now. And so now I'm grasping at straws, still trying to be cool to him. So every once in a while, I'm fortunate enough to check it out, because life is just weird. Like me and Aaron Stevens have gotten to be real good friends. So like whenever, there's a lot of times at NWA shows where Jacob, I've got him FaceTimed and we're talking, and, here comes Damian Sandow, like, hey, can I talk to Jacob? And like, he'll just take my phone and walk off, and I'm just like, what is happening? Or just like, when Jacob was real tiny, his favorite wrestler, like his first favorite wrestler was Brodus Clay, Funkasaurus.
Oh yeah.
And, and now, like, Tyrus and I are really cool. And so, like, it's just, like, one of those things where, like, hey, remember your favorite wrestler? Yeah, we're just going to go hang out and eat dinner together. Like, life is weird. Like, that's not how this is supposed to work.
Are there still people that do that to you, that whenever you're around them, you kind of get, your 5-year-old or 6-year-old self comes out and you're like, oh, I'm freaking out right now.
Literally every day.
Oh, wow.
So that's my big thing, especially at this stage of my career, is like, I grew up a fan, right? Like I'm not Lex Luger, and I don't mean to disparage Lex Luger, but Lex Luger didn't grow up a pro wrestling fan. He got into pro wrestling because he had a body, right?
Right.
And like I've been fortunate enough to interact with Lex Luger, and he's been very pleasant to me. But that was just his journey. The two that get me the most, and I can't even put my finger on why, but like at NWA, the two people that like have really become like buddy with me, and like, but still every time they say my name, 8-year-old Sal goes, no, this can't be real. Like, dude, this guy not only knows your name, but like lit up when he saw you and came to talk to you, is Ricky Morton and Dr. Tom Prince.
Oh, wow.
And it just doesn't make sense. Like, to this day, it just doesn't make sense that, like, Dr. Tom, every time I'll walk into a room, if Tom's there, he'll stop what he's doing to come say hi to me. And I'm like, dude, you're you. What are you doing? Like, that's not how this works. And Ricky's hey buddy, good to see you, Sal. Come here, Sal. When I just did, me and his son, Kerry, just did a little loop in Mexico.
Right.
And, I kind of not that he needed it, but I kind of kept an eye over Kerry to make sure, just cause he's 21. We were all 21,
yeah.
21 and on top of the world. So, I kind of try to keep my eye out on him, just to make sure, he doesn't know he's bulletproof, but I know he isn't. So but Ricky told me, Sal, thank you so much for looking after my boy Kerry James, and it means the world to me. And you're Ricky Morton. What is happening? You're a rock star.
Right.
This is foolishness. Why are you talking to me? Go be famous.
Go do a Canadian destroyer somewhere.
No, but yeah, I mean, there's so many guys, that they, they just walk in. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Whoa, and I'm so, when I broke into the business, it was very unacceptable to take pictures, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And I'm so glad, and I believe it's my generation that's kind of, and I mean, and there's also other things like the advent of the picture phone, or the camera phone, where cameras are just more accessible. But I'm so glad that we take the picture now. I'm very, very big on taking the picture, and I have no shame. Kyle Davis, he works in the office for NWA, and he also does the podiums, and he does the introductions. I've known Kyle. Kyle trained at the ROH school, I think, starting in '06.
Okay.
And so I was there. So I've known Kyle since he was crawling into pro wrestling. And when he transitioned to being a backstage interviewer, I was his very first interview. And so, I mean, Kyle and I, Kyle's one of my best friends that, when life falls apart for him, he calls. When life is good, he calls. He's that kind of friend. But he's also the guy that he has no shame either. So perfect example, a couple of months ago, we were on a 5-day loop, and by day 5, we were delirious. We just, life had stopped making all sorts of sense. And so we were just doing whatever we could to maintain some sort of sanity. And we had stopped at a Walmart, and they had little Nerf guns. And so we bought 20 of them so we could just go around backstage. But the trick was you couldn't just shoot somebody, because that would be lame, right? And there's no evidence. So we were we've got battle cry. Because again, we're delirious at this point, and we're trying to maintain whatever shreds of sanity we have left. So I don't know how we got to this point, but it just became you yell Sam Houston and you shoot somebody. And so we're running around backstage, hiding behind doors, jumping out of couches, just whatever. And he could be in another room, and I would hear Sam Houston, pow. So fast forward to Crockett Cup, which was a week ago, and Kyle goes, Sal, come here now. And I'm like, well, I kind of got to put my match together. He goes, no, you don't. And I was like, oh no, what's up? I turned the corner, and there stands Sam Houston. And Kyle goes, are we taking this picture? I was like, what? Of course we're taking this picture. Do you have a Nerf gun?
Oh, I love that so much. Now, you're at a point in your career.
No, go ahead.
No,